We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes, until the killing of black men, black mothers' sons, is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers' sons. Oh, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The older I get, the better I see the secret to my going on, that the reins are in the hands of the young who come against the storm. 'Cause to me, young people come first. It is the way it's supposed to be. And if I can shed some light as they walk through the gale, 'cause we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. The struggle myself, it's not all about, come to realize. The truth about it that we just teach others to stand up and fight. Oh, 'cause we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Oh, we who believe freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
History Colorado is dedicated to cultivating the best informed citizens in the nation who understand the present in the context of our shared past and who work together to build a better Colorado. We are consequently proud to provide space tonight for the first of a series of conversations on the state of civil rights, past, present, and future. In the early 20th century, still other civic leaders, men such as Oliver T. Jackson, George Gross, and Clarence Holmes, and groups such as the Denver chapter of the NAACP and the Cosmopolitan Club spoke out for civil rights, equal justice, and opportunity. And other names ring out from the mid and late 20th century: Earl Mann, Elvin Caldwell, George Brown, Marie Greenwood, Ruth Denny, Rachel Knoll, Wilford Keyes, Ari Taylor, Corky Gonzalez, Richard Castro, Betty Benavides, and many others. In their own different ways, these individuals advanced the cause of equality in Colorado and Denver, and we speak and reflect in the shadow of these great leaders tonight. I would also like to introduce you to the organizer of this program tonight, Mr. Donnie L. Betts. Donnie L. Betts is an... Please.
Thank you, Bill, and I want to also thank History Colorado, Ed, and all the executives here for being brave enough to step out and do this type of new programming for the history. As a lot of people like to say, it's not your father's beard, it's not your father's History Colorado Center anymore. We want to do things that are new and different and engage your community in conversation that we can have an interesting, concise, non-threatening dialogue among ourselves. And there might be a lot of people in here who travel along the same paths, meaning that their thinking may be alike. I hope not, because we want to hear different opinions about things tonight. That's why we're here. And we want to hear your opinion. Yes, there will be a panel. That's just to get things started. Dialogue among ourselves is what we need in this country, in this nation, in order for us to move forward.
I was born in 1955, and I started high school in 1970. Both of those were terrifically significant years in terms of the Black-led Southern freedom movement of the mid-20th century. And so having discovered that love of history and understanding that it came so late because of the way that history is typically taught or not, okay, in K-12 education. I was inspired to follow that road. I was also inspired because there were some questions that I began to try to answer for myself about contemporary education that I couldn't answer without going further and further and further and further back. And so I'll use my last minute to kind of put a plug in for us to be aware of what's going on in terms of so-called education reform right now. That includes an increasing reliance on high-stakes testing that does not further the goals of developing a deep understanding of history and pretty much anything else, I would argue. And one of the first casualties of school reform was an emphasis on teaching social studies. Okay? And in many of our schools, social studies is not taught, at least particularly in the elementary grades. And at the university level, I'm now seeing the first generation of students who have gone from K to university under the high-stakes testing regime, and it's appalling how little they know about anybody's history, including their own. And I don't blame them, I blame us. Okay? And so I want to use this opportunity to encourage you to get involved, get informed, and to make history and all of the other humanities matter.
And I'm very glad that this evening is indeed not just about us on the stage, because I see so many faces of people I know in the audience who I'm really eager to hear from. So quite an honor to be here and to be a part of this series. I found myself, as I'm sure many people did, thinking about the internal resources that it took for people in the Southern Freedom Movement, and just really marveling at what it was in people that people were able to build up those internal resources, particularly in this case, courage. And I found myself thinking about where we either see similar courage today or where such courage is needed. And so very briefly, just a few places that came to mind. I know that, within the immigrant rights movement recently in the last year or two, there's been a shift towards combating fear and saying, you know what, there were some young activists who deliberately declared themselves to ICE so that they could go into the facility and start taking names and gathering information of other people in the facility. And they were doing so much organizing that they actually got kicked out by ICE. I'm thinking of an article a few days ago on CNN about an 11-year-old transgender girl who is 11 and is very openly transgender and supported by her parents. And then I'm thinking especially today of Southside Chicago and what it's like to be a young person there, where over the weekend I think 6 people were just killed, and especially in this conversation about gun violence that's happening nationally. I was reminded in the song, the lyrics, "Until the killing of a black man, black mother's child is as important as the killing of white man, white mother's child." We cannot rest because we are not behaving as a society as if the lives are equal, and obviously lives are equal. So I was thinking, can we rest? No, we can't rest.
And kind of piggybacking on what Jamie was talking about, I am incredibly moved and constantly humbled by how integral young people have always been in freedom movements, period. I think there's kind of a confluence of wisdom and courage that happens when you bring the young and the elders together that creates a potent mixture that is undeniable as strength. And for us, we are very much hoping to be creating music and put out messages that gets the young people in touch with their power, and also creates an opportunity even in concerts for people to come together so they can explore that together. And it is always an incredible reminder and a source of hope when I look back at those videos and see how it can be done, how it has never stopped, how it is continuing to be done now. And the greatest illusion is that momentum has ever stopped. I think as long as we rate injustice as more powerful than justice, we've already admitted defeat. And the real trick is to flip that around and find our own potency and power.